All right. Yo, 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 what's up? Commentator's Curse. We're here for some exciting stuff and we're going to experiment. But before we talk about the details of what we're doing this time around, Blur, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Kids. Came back from UGC. Really excited to close the books on 2017 for Smash Brothers.
2016.
2016 for Smash Brothers, and open the book for 2017. I think we had a great year. I know I'm not going to any more events. I don't know if you are, but I think it was one of the best and most fun years in Smash, at least in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very eventful, and I have to give you props for, props to you and the tournament organizers for keeping the year packed. I remember last year when I did SSBM rank, I stopped after DreamHack, and part of it was because yes, the project takes a long time, but also because there really weren't many events after DreamHack in the last month.
Yeah, we had a really bad December last year. I think a big part of our growth, both in viewership and attendance, is that we're just not having droughts anymore, like major droughts at least. Though we might have one right after Genesis because we're pretty sparse there. So try to fix that. Try to do some last minute stuff, but
Yeah.
overall, I think the content was much more much more spread out this year than it was in years in the
Yeah.
past. I think that was a big upgrade.
And for this
So,
episode, we're going to experiment by breaking down the YouTube videos into smaller chunks. So we'll go over like a large topic and then break it off. So for this one, we're going to like talk UGC and then break it up into its own segments so that for viewers at home that watch this on YouTube, it'll be easier to consume if you only want to listen to a certain part of this podcast, show, Twitch stream. So let's start off with UGC. You were, there. What were your thoughts on the event, because that was their first time running a Smash event?
I always love having new events in the competitive circuit. I think that you know they overall did a very good job. I'd like to see a little bit more attendance, but obviously St. Louis hasn't had much history in that. But I think next time maybe they'll do a little bit better if they choose to stay in St. Louis. So overall, I'm quite impressed by their overall production, their staging, their crew. They definitely put on a bang up job. Pretty good. Obviously, we're gonna have our postmortem. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna think of things and ways it can get better. But for a first time event, I think they knocked it out of the park, and we had some very exciting melee at the end of the day. That actually definitely get a cheer. I particularly enjoyed interacting with the St. Louis community for the first time, and really be able to see that their passion, because they actually have a decent scene. If you look at like just the size of their Facebook groups, and how sometimes their locals even hit as high as 100 entrants, right? But they just never had a big event, right? It's a pretty big city in the U.S., but just they have never really had anything, right? So I think for their first major event, it was cool to see that a whole new community, right? It kind of reminded me of when we first went to Memphis for What the Fox, right? The Memphis scene has always been there, but they just never had a big event, and meeting those new people was really special.
Yeah, and I got to watch a decent sized chunk of it. It looks like you guys were having a good time. I really loved having the moon on the desk talking to the ladies.
Yeah, so that was an interesting segment. I don't know. Do you see G Money's video on
Yeah, about
That's so
like
funny.
the moon's
He wants to repopulate the Earth.
chic.
Right.
It's just that he has such a funny way of like going about explaining things.
Yeah, exactly. Moon's a hoot and a holler. I think like the way the scheduling was working out, they've had like a blank hour in their content schedule, so they try to fill it up, and they did the best they can. It was very funny, and then at the end, I think we'll never have a something like that ever again. So it was fun to have that novelty factor, right?
Yeah. Shall we talk doubles?
Absolutely. Doubles was crazy. Doubles has been really good for the whole year. I think if there was ever a year in review doc, and I really wish someone would have the time to do one, because I'm struggling to find it. I think it would be cool. One of the biggest storylines the whole year is a growth of melee doubles. Melee doubles has just exploded, right? We've seen it like consistently perform in viewership, right? Often, if not most, if not almost always, of the outperforming Wii U singles even in viewership. So really interesting that people have just like taken on doubles as like a super. Are they invested into the storylines of doubles? Which isn't to say they weren't before, because I mean doubles has been around forever, but it's not to this degree. Like it feels like the more people I talk to, the more they care about doubles as much, or sometimes more than singles, and that's like never happened in Smash before, right? I think it's super cool that that's become like that, and so the storylines have gotten really good. PewFat versus Ice Leffen was an intense grand finals. I had the pleasure of commentating it, and we also had Mewtwo Hungrybox, I'm on Android, and a bunch of other unique teams in the field. So it was one of the best team tournaments for sure. There have been just so many good ones this year that it's starting to get hard to say that.
Yeah. I think it's pretty interesting because I'm not sure if you agree with me, but it seems like, if you're looking at 2016, Armada and Mewtwo still the throne holders of doubles?
Sort of. So like it's weird. Like they still haven't entered very much. What have they entered? The summits in Genesis this year, and they've just won, right? So because of that, and you have to go back to I think last year for a tournament they lost. By all means, you want to say that they're the best team this year, but if you're just looking like depends on what your structure is, right? If your structure is hey win-loss record, yeah, they're the best. If you say hey, what if there was a system which awarded points for each tournament win, then PewFat would win the most, right? Because they've won so many events, right? And we shouldn't underestimate just how many more intense competitions they've actually put themselves under, right? Than Armada Mewtwo King. So there's that. I think Armada Mewtwo King. If you ask me what's the best team in the world, I'd answer Armada Mewtwo King, just because PewFat had their opportunities and they didn't take them. But if you ask me, what team I think is more likely to win a tournament and many tournaments going into next year, probably PewFat, because there's going to be teaming with each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Armada and Mewtwo King actually have entered like 5 events this year, and they've won every single one. So Genesis, Smash Summit, EGLX.
Oh, they entered EGLX too. Yeah, but that wasn't a very hard team to event.
Yeah, and Canada, What the Fox 2, Canada Cup, and Smash Summit 3.
Yeah, so the only ones I really count are the 2 Smash Summits and
Genesis.
Genesis, yeah. The other like the What the Fox one, they beat DizKid and SFAT, which is like turned out to be pretty good. They almost lost to that. So there was competition there, but Canada Cup didn't have top level teams, and neither did EGLX really. So
That's
it's pretty good. But the 2 summits in Genesis is why they're number 1. Those other ones go to their legacy too. It's like it's good, but it's not like
I think I would be more sold on PewFat having a question mark. It's that like if PewFat went like undefeated in every other event and didn't have like random losses to like Ice Mewtwo King, then I would be more inclined to say like it's in contention. But like PewFat's record hasn't been fully clean either.
Kind of. I mean, I guess you could say the SmashCon one, but I think like you'd be making a win percentage argument that doesn't take into account quantity, right? It's not like Armada Mewtwo King are playing that Mewtwo King team. First of all, because they factually can't, but they never put themselves in that spot, right? So overall, I think we both agree. Armada Mewtwo King best team in the game right now, and PewFat second, right?
Yeah.
We both agree on that, and that's how I think the year is going to be judged. If someone would be kind enough to organize a team ranking, I think that's how it would end.
Yeah.
As 1 Armada Mewtwo King, 2 PewFat.
So I have an interesting.
I don't know.
So I have an interesting question.
What's up?
What do you rank Armada Android?
So do you count them as unique teams from Armada Mewtwo King, right?
I mean, they play enough.
I don't think Armada Android is 3rd. I don't know why everyone thinks they are.
I don't think I would tentatively put them there, but they're not a shoo-in for me.
Well, okay. Can you explain to me why you do? Why are they 3rd?
I can't think of another team that plays enough to get third.
So it's probably not me taking Hungry Box after this weekend.
You taking Hungry Box after Big House and this is definitely not third. I mean, Ice and Leffen technically. Let's see. I think Ice and Leffen have like tied sets against Armada Android. I think Armada Android won that European event over them, and then Ice and Leffen won like Beast, I think, over them earlier this year.
Ice Leffen won Beast, but the Armada Android won Eclipse, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
And then Ice Leffen beat them this time. Ice Leffen together haven't done that much though, right?
But like, I can't think of another team
That's done better.
I mean, there's like technically like I don't know the Club H Box, SUJ Johnny or SUJ Mango kind of done stuff. I can't really think of another team that have done well for multiple events this year, and that's what makes ranking so difficult.
Yeah, it's been tough, right? Like, I think it's actually now that we break it down, I think it's got to be Armada Android as the third team, and then fourth is probably Ice Leffen, I guess, as a unit. I mean, it's really hard because like there's been combos which have one really good tournament, like Mango Lucky Team once this year, right? At Gamo.
Yeah, and then you have like Ice Leffen, Muti King Club, Muti King Ice, Muti King Hungry Box, Hungry Box Plup. A lot of these one-of events, so it's really tough.
It is really tough. It's hard to say.
So that's what makes like rating teams like an actual pair really hard, and that's the issue I had.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you look at the top 8, go ahead.
Give it to HBox Music King as pretty high though. I know Big House and UGC weren't great, but they still got second at Evo. They got third at Gamo. I think it was Mango SUJ who outperformed them, right?
Mango Lucky.
Mango Lucky. So I guess that's a bad loss actually by their standards.
And didn't like SFAT Shroom beat them at PAX?
Whoa, wait a second. You're telling me? Yeah, SFAT Shroom beat them at PAX. Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, they've had a horrible year together.
Like, relatively speaking. I mean, by Hungry Box Muti King standards and what we've known them to do, it's an awful year.
Awful year. I don't think they're going to be together. I said this during commentary. I don't know how people received it. I didn't look at the chat or anything, but...
I mean, it makes sense.
Where they stay together.
I mean, we talked about it last week, where that team dynamic doesn't make sense. It doesn't cater to their strengths at all.
Yeah, it just seems like they're both doing what they don't want to be doing. You know, at the end we saw Muti end up going Fox, and it's like, why is if Muti's going Fox in teams, something's gone wrong. It's
like,
pretty much cool.
If you have Muti King going Fox, then why wouldn't you rather have like SFAT or Ice or Leffen or Lucky play that role?
Well, the big answer to that question is because all those guys have teammates.
That's true.
I think one of them is going to switch to a different teammate next year. I think Plup is going to get snatched up.
I think Plup and Muti King are going to be a thing, if I were to make a prediction.
Over Plup Box? Because I think one of those two is getting Plup. They're both going to try to convince
Dude, Hungry Box Plup hates teaming up with Puff. He made it quite known, to me at least, at Summit that he hates teaming with Puff.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Muti King Plup, is my honest guess. I think that's going to become a monster team.
Or Plup Axe. I think that is the alternative.
I think Axe H-Box might become a thing.
I don't think they're coming back after Genesis.
You think that was too heartbreaking? But I think Axe would say yes. H-Box won't have a choice, so he might have to do it.
I think after Genesis and losing to Swedish Locks, no offense to them, they're a good team. I don't think you can ever recover from that. I think H-Box's ego is too big to want a team after that.
Um, yeah. So where's Axe go?
I'd love to see Axe Plup.
I think Puff's gonna go with Mewtwo. Let's just assume that because I really do think that's what's gonna happen.
I mean, it makes the most sense, right? They like Plup is literally playing with Mewtwo right now.
Yeah, they're practicing together. I think Plump Westballs could be a thing because they did team that one time and did really well.
Yeah,
I was at Big House, right? They did really well. So I think that could be a thing, but I doubt it. I'm just gonna say it's Plump Music King. It makes sense. I think next year we're gonna see Armada Android, Ice Leffen, um, PPUS Fat, Music King Plup. I think those are gonna be the four best teams next year, um, most likely. And I think that Shroom's gonna have to go somewhere. Westfall's gonna have to go somewhere. Axe is gonna have to go somewhere. Hungrybox is gonna have to go somewhere. Do you think you can become Hungrybox Shroomed?
no,
No, right? That doesn't sound good.
that's never gonna happen.
So,
I mean, Hungrybox needs.
in that list, who does Hungrybox team with? There's also Mango SUJ who's going to stay.
Yeah, I never understood why Koval Hungrybox was never a thing.
I think it might have to be.
But then Koval's doing the consistency thing with Disc Boogie.
Yeah, but do you think he's not going to ditch Disc for H-Box?
Yeah, Koval's a homie. I don't think he's that type of guy.
Yeah, because Diz Cobalt has become a thing, but then again, they lost to
Kelson, bro.
Kelvin Bro. You can't be losing like that. People are suggesting Hungrybox Crunch. That'd be funny.
I don't think that would work.
Yeah, I think overall, my guess is Shroom's end up with like he might end up with like a Moon or a Westballs. This is assuming DJ's not going to events or something.
I think he'll probably snatch the Moon. If the Moon's available and Alan's not there and Shroom can't team with like SJ, I think it'll be Shroom the Moon. Shroom.
I think actually, if Alan starts really I think Shroom might need a heart to heart with Alan and be like, hey, if you start going to events and stuff, I'll stick with you. But if you don't,
To be fair, Alan's the loyal wife that's been cheated on many times.
I mean, Shroom almost always picks him if he's available, right?
No.
When does he not?
If there's a pretty younger woman around, he'll definitely snatch them.
A mistress?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Alan's not like Shroom would do similarly well with these other people.
Yeah.
As Alan.
And
So I don't know if Alan's not just the best option. And I wonder if Alan starts going to stuff and taking it more seriously, blah blah blah, if it's just going to become the optimal option.
I think so. MacD Drug Fox seems to be a consistent team now that MacD is kind of doesn't have a teammate.
MacD Axe sounds so good, and I want to see it.
Or MacD Shroom, it could be like UGS Lite.
Yeah, MacD Shroom also sounds very good. I think maybe they have to do that kind of hookup.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like for Axe, I want more of like a Peach or something. I think MacD works really well because Axe is going to make stuff happen and Peach is going to deal damage.
So there's many combinations with that, like among like the top 15 team players that they can switch.
Right. It's basically the top I think has been settled. Like the top 5 or 6 teams are pretty much settled. Like there's the Mango SUJs, the Pew Fats or whatever of the world are pretty much settled. I think the rest have to like kind of figure themselves out. There's also the question of like how soon is Lucky going to come back? Like with his injury, like how long is it going to take?
So offhand, I've on separate occasions had my elbow popped out and an ACL injury. So I've experienced Lucky's injuries, just not at the same time.
I don't think we see him enter a tournament again until like minimum April.
It won't be that long. I mean, my knee injury, I was able to drive and move around again probably after like a month. And his elbow rehab will probably take like 4 weeks.
You don't think it'll take that long? I mean, I think just being in pain while playing is just gonna make him not want to enter.
Oh, I mean, my elbow injury like didn't really. I was no longer in pain in like 4 weeks. For the ACL injury, I stopped. Like I obviously couldn't be running and jumping like right after a month. It was more of a 6 to 8 week thing. But if he's just walking around, I don't think he's gonna have pain. I think it's gonna be a 4 week.
People in the chat are gonna go to Genesis. I think if he goes to Genesis, he's making a mistake. He should take care of his health. Like Genesis is in literally a month, right? Like just chill, Joey. Just chill for a little bit. Come back. The good news is February and March are not that packed, you know. So I think he should come back in April. Is my honest opinion. Um, and then he'll be fine. But I don't. I think he'll be able to practice starting like nowish is my expectation. But like going to an event, traveling, sleeping in a different bed, like trying to play at a high level, like it takes some physical fitness, right? It takes, he has to take care of himself. My honest opinion. So I think that I really don't want him to go to Genesis. Is my
Yeah,
opinion. He should take care of himself.
that's fair. Um, and then grand finals must have been as a Marthman for you an absolute delight to see with Kevin Toy PPU.
Yeah, he played very well. I'll say this that I like was watching the set overall, and I got a little triggered because I think like dude, people commentary sucks sometimes. I know I didn't transmit my message the right way, but like people do a lot of confirmation bias about what they hear, and I said something along the lines of I think I said are these foxes are both I asked a question like are both these foxes gonna die, right? And then K-Toy got a down air, and I said yeah, and people just assumed that was biased commentary. When I really meant like yeah, the foxes are gonna die, right? They're gonna get edge guarded. I said it in a very excited way, but
Yeah. I
um,
mean, literally, like, people think that my commentary is mango centered, and, like, I've had sets where I literally just cheer for Plug because I'm rooting for Sheik. So, I don't know, people will look for something and just run with it.
no, Dallas says it's not confirmation bias if one team gets blatantly cheered for. Maybe, dude, but I didn't feel like
Dude,
I
you
don't
know
know.
No DI is, like, one of the biggest trolls, right?
Oh, is that how you pronounce it? No DI.
Yes.
I really, I
Oh.
really like. Look, I feel like I've watched sets where I felt like rewatching it. I'm like HBox biased, as in I'm complimenting HBox too much. And then in the comments, I hear people saying, "Why is Blur riding Mango?" I'm like, you guys just think that because you assume I'm only Mango's friend. When in fact, I'm actually friends with like all the top players. Like I had dinner with HBox this last weekend, and we just hung out. Right? Like that's not abnormal for me. I hang out with Ice and Leffen too. I hung out with Leffen at the airport just this last week. Like, come on, like
Like, if you're not biased at all, you'd become me in terms of excitement level. And you don't want to become me, Blur. You want to be
I
you.
look. But here's what I'm saying is that I actually, if I was biased, I wouldn't care because I'd just be like, "Fuck you guys, I'm biased." That's still good commentary. But I actually felt like I wasn't, so it just kind of like took me aback. I was like, I didn't feel like I was, so I feel like people were injecting something there, and I've had that happen before. So I'm trying to take feedback correctly. Uh, I think there are times where I've explicitly been biased before, but that's because I usually tell people I will be. Like Ken v Scar at KOC was super biased, right? And we did that on purpose. But I wasn't even trying. Like I wasn't. Maybe I focused too much on them. I don't know. Maybe I have to like do play by play and look at it back. I don't think I said it. Use my words right. Like I understand why saying yeah after someone's down there like that can be construed that way. I don't think I said it right. I don't think it was good commentary, but I don't think it was biased commentary because that's not how my head was at. Like I know where my head was at, and I wasn't actually sitting there cheering for them in my own head. I think maybe the words can be construed that way, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I spent an entire year in 2016 wasting my commentary blocks to blatantly not be biased. And look at the end product. You get the most on-hype commentator ever. So if you lose the complete bias, you don't get excited for anything, and that's a natural response. And we don't. I think that's like the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, and I'm gonna Craigasm over Marth till the day I die. So people can just let that go.
The Marth Craigasm is what makes you you, and if you lost that,
that's gonna happen. But I Craigasm over every character. Come on.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know. Look, there was a moment there. The reason why I sat there and I was mad is because I felt like, on the whole, like I was watching, and I was like, damn, you know, I'm doing a lot of good things, and then I say one and everyone's like, oh, this was bad. I'm like, dude, I agree that I probably shouldn't have said that, but you're reading into it wrong, and you didn't see the context, and there was also another fucking whole top 8 there, so just cool your jets, man. I don't know. Look, I'm talking to a nebulous force, which is Twitch chat, but
I love that you call it nebulous.
I'm trying to be honest in how I took that feedback, and the way I took that feedback was like, dude, it's not what I was trying to do. You guys are misunderstanding me. Come on.
Well, you do you. That's all I'm gonna say. I wouldn't want to lose you.
Satchel pays. No one cares. Blur. That no one cares that much. Blur. It's not that serious. I agree.
But it's not like we don't want to improve either, and that's why we listen to feedback, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of the hard things to balance. Aside from Kira beating Drug Fox 3-0 just now.
Kira just beat Drug Fox?
Drug Chic.
Whoa. Kira's Fox beat Drug Chic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, nothing makes sense anymore. Well, I mean, the fact that Kira's the Fox of the scenario and Drug Fox is the Sheik now, nothing ever makes sense.
So do you want to go to singles?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right. Well, I mean, it's kind of funny. Armada dropping game 1 to random people and then winning the set on their counter picks. That was like the old classic Armada special.
Yeah, it was super Armada special. Mewtwo King played very well. We should just start off saying that.
We want to go straight into it. Okay, that's cool.
This went from Jason, what are you doing? To and I thought he was
okay.
Gonna get
we gotta set the backdrop to this actually. Mewtwo King losing to none in winners round of 16. Every other tournament we would probably say, yeah, Mewtwo King's probably done.
I would have bet you a large amounts of money that Mewtwo King was going to lose to Mango and losers there. I would have been wrong, and I would have lost a lot of money. Because here's the thing. Before that said, and I think I mentioned in the commentary, I was outside and I talked to Mango, gave him a baby pep talk, and I thought he was going to... Well, actually, it was a horrible pep talk. It was more like me telling him, hey, bro, you're Mango, you're going to be fine. And then he was like, oh, I don't know, man, and I kind of just walked away.
What kind of pep talk is that?
Maybe it was a garbage pep talk. I'm gonna reel it back. Maybe it was a garbage pep talk. But I thought that maybe I sparked some fire. Turns out I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I totally did not. I did none of that. So I was wrong about that.
There's an alternate universe where 4% doesn't beat Diskid Boogie and Diskid Boogie somehow beats Mango.
You think that would happen?
There's an alternate universe where that could have potentially happened.
Yeah. 4% beat Diskit. Apparently, according to Diskit, that was a 40-minute set.
I can see that.
Went to 30 seconds or less every game.
That's so funny. And 4% pulled it out.
Is it funny, Tafflikins? Is it funny?
I think it's funny.
I've said for a long time that we should really consider 6-minute timer.
I think it's funny.
Anywho, Mango just does not stop double lasering from the edge. Just will never do it.
Not if I have something to do with it.
Tapo, You've been saying this stuff. You haven't helped at all. What happened?
I wasn't at the tournament, man.
You think if you're at the tournament, you're not gonna double laser from ledge?
Um, I would implement anti-laser, double laser from ledge shock therapy.
Okay, that's actually very radical. That's some Clockwork Orange stuff. So, but that's not his only problem. Like he's got, you know what bothers me is because, and I think you're probably one of those people. So I'm gonna. I don't know if you're in this batch of people, but I want to know this.
Okay.
People are hating on Mango's Falco, and me personally, I think his Falco is actually godlike and potentially even better than his Fox. It's just got more bad habits, and like really obvious, super fixable bad habits, right? But in terms of the things it does right, it does so many things right. People are all only looking at the things it does wrong, right? And the problem is when you do wrong things with Falco, you just lose stocks.
It's like, I don't know, like the what Russell Westbrook effect, right? You do so many great things and then you turn the ball over stupidly.
Yeah, so it's like Russell Westbrook probably can't win a championship with the way he plays, but he's still amazing, you know? Yes, he's stealing rebounds from his teammates, but he's doing a lot of things good too, right? Yes, he's a ball hog. Yes, he double lasers, but he's got other good stuff. So for me, I actually really just want to see his Falco like polish itself, and then I actually think it'll be really monstrous. I also think people super underrate how much he needs Falco to win tournaments. Like he needed Falco to win Big House, right?
He's not getting through many players, or it's less likely he's going to get through many players with Fox.
Exactly. Like I think his matchup with like a player like Leffen, for example, shifts drastically if he doesn't have Falco. So give the Falco some respect. I'm seeing way too much of his Falco hate. Is where I'm at there. It's got a lot of bad habits, and people are. I don't know if they'll ever change, but maybe Tafikin's shock therapy is actually going to work.
Hopefully. And I need to do some other stuff with him with his tournament habits outside of playing the game, because when I'm not there, things happen. I'll just leave it there.
All right. Right. Tafo, I want to see your coaching actually make a difference, because currently it's made zero difference.
Huh? Well, I mean, let's see. What was the tournament he got? At DreamHack and UGC, I was physically not there.
Yeah.
So,
Those
fourth and 13th in the 2 consecutive events, I'm not there. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't perform well because you weren't there. Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, I'm not going to take credit for him. I mean, my end goal is to put him in a place where he can succeed. I'll just say that much.
All right.
Like, I'm not going to take credit for him to win because, you know, he has all the tools, and I really am confident he can win. I just want to create an environment where he can succeed.
No, I mean, I agree. Let's see what happens in 2017. I think 2017 is going to be a really interesting year. I had this conversation with Hugs, by the way, and a few others. And I made a statement. It's a pretty radical statement that's very, very unlikely to ever happen. But Armada is the only player of the gods and of just in general who I think there is a world where Armada wins literally everything he enters next year. It's not a likely world. It's very unlikely to happen. He's 3-7 against Mango, but there's something about that guy that makes me think he actually is capable. Now he's not going to do it, and I actually think he might not even be number 1 next year. Right? Obviously, someone else could overtake him, just like anything else. But there has always been a part of me that worries, and this might be because he at one point in his career he did retire because he was bored, right? There was a year where he won like everything, right? And he retired because he was bored, effectively, right? He was going to American events, winning all the time, went back home. No one was challenging him in Europe. This is the pre-Leffen era, really. And he just felt like he was just beating up on CPU just to stay in practice and not get challenged. That's not the case right now. But I think because of that previous history, there's always a part of me that's scared that Adam might just get too good, you know? And I always like to keep that in the back of my mind because this guy's really, really good.
I mean, the thing, I would be inclined to agree with you, but on the flip side, it's not like he's 3-0ing everybody. I mean, I think Genesis 2, I always bring this up, was disgusting because he, like, wasn't dropping sets to everybody. But here, like, he dropped a set to Mewtwo King. Honeybox takes him to Game 5. It's not a...
I mean, we agree on this.
Yeah.
We're both agreeing here. But the difference is, I think there is no world where Bengal wins every event, where Mewtwo King wins every event, where Hungrybox wins every event next year, right? There's no world.
I don't think there's any world where Armada wins every event, just simply because there's too many. Like, there's, what, like 25 big events a year, like once every 2 weeks, where like 3 of the gods attend.
He'll go to, like, let's say he goes to 12 or 13. You don't think it's possible for him to win all 12 or 13 he goes to?
By possible and out, like, yeah, but to me, saying it's possible doesn't really mean much.
Okay. I'd say this. I think because of his consistency, and I think this is the crux of it, because of his consistency, I think it's far more possible for him than the rest.
Okay, and that's fair. But, I mean, okay, so here's the line I kind of draw. Do I see a world where Armada makes grand finals every event next year? Yes. I can say that.
So he has to win all the grand finals. That's totally possible.
Don't see that. I don't see him winning 12.
I don't either. I mean,
you're asking for a lot for 12.
But do you agree that you put any other player in his position, and they're far more unlikely to win everything? Like, let's say Armada winning everything is like a 4 to 5% scenario, right?
And that's still really good because to win 12 events, if you look at it from a mathematical standpoint, is really hard.
It's absurd. Let's say that's a 4 to 5% scenario. Okay. I think everyone else's is sub 0.1%.
I would say, yeah, give or take, it'd be like 0.1%, yeah.
Yeah, like literally everyone else is so more unlikely.
I gave like HBox like 1%.
1% sounds generous for HBox.
Yeah.
He's gonna beat Armada 12 times?
It might not always be Armada.
Huh?
It might not always be Armada.
Yeah, okay. Point is that, okay, HBox is somewhere between 0.5 and 1%. I'd probably agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Everyone else is like less than 0.1%. Armada's like a solid 5%, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion. There is like 5% of the time you run 2017 as a simulation and Armada wins everything, is how I view the world.
Yeah. So
and that's there's always that in the back of my mind of like, what if Adam improves faster than the field and he actually gets to become too good? And it's always a part of me that's like, that kid's capable.
I think the main issue I kind of have with that is that when you're the best, who's everybody studying?
They can study all you want, man.
I mean, they study him, and
they've been studying for like 10 years, man. He's pretty good.
But like Armada will go through phases where he will beat 2 of 3 and seem to struggle with one of them. And it's just like the allocation of resources. Let's say like those 3 other players are spending like 10 hours a week on Armada. Armada only has so much time where he can divvy up, and one of them is bound to improve in a particular matchup faster than Armada is improving in it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's not even a higher percent.
Yeah. I mean, there's always seems to be
absurdly good competition.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
There always seems to be one guy that has Armada's number for a season. This year, probably Mango. Prior to that, Leffen. Prior to that, Peepee. So
I think the one big balancing force to the Armada force is if PP comes back. Because I don't think Armada ever truly figured out PP. In fact, I felt like it was the other way around.
Yeah. And like the glimpses of what we saw from PP Armada were like when PP was kind of like out of shape. It was an Evo and
I mean, Apex 2015, PP was out of shape, and he still won the whole thing.
That was Apex though. Evo was pretty bad. And
I mean, he was straight up out of shape. Like,
and Genesis was pretty bad too.
Yeah.
So but to be fair, it is another unique matchup he has to work on because Armada goes Peach against Mutaking, and he can't go Peach against PPMD. So now he has to prep Fox.
He can go Peach against PPMD. I've never subscribed to the idea that he can't go Peach against like almost everybody. Like only person he can't truly go Peach is HBox, in my opinion.
I think the big thing here is I think that Peach could work, but you have to look in the mind of Armada, right? Like, Armada is spooked by PP and Marth Peach, and that's all it takes for him to refuse to do a matchup.
Yeah, I mean it's similar to Mutaking, but I think it's not the truth. You know, it could be in his head, and he probably won't do it. I think he will go Fox against PP, but I don't think it's the truth. I think the truth is that Peach could totally do it.
I mean, and then his Fox has been like pretty flawless against PP's Marth.
Yeah. I mean, that I think with unrusting, that will become far less true.
Yeah.
Far less true. You know, like it's the character that does the best against a rusty player is always Fox. And Peach actually, but not the way PP plays. You know, Fox is just a little fast, right? So if you're rusty and you can't keep up and your hands are moving a little too slow, then yeah, Fox is gonna be a tough one. Yeah, we'll see if PP comes back and throws a wrench into it for our 2017 preview. But I do think he's a balancing force, right? Now, there is the caveat that even if PP comes back, it'll probably take 6 months before he's like a top 5 player again. And that's like an optimistic view. If he ever becomes a top 5 player again. It'll take at least 6 months, minimum. I don't see another world. And for him to become the best in the world, I don't think that happens next year at all, right? He'll need like a whole year of practice to do it. So that won't be a threat for Armada for a little bit of time. Do you agree?
I'm just trying to like picture it in my head. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Let's see. So, okay, so going back to our original topic of Mutaking at UGC, because we kind of diverged.
Yeah.
So Mutaking losing to none, recipe for disaster, like if you told me somebody made a really big losers run, I would assume that you were talking about Mango. And the person that made a really short run in losers, we mostly assume that's Mutaking, right? If we just kind of erase the names and this is what somebody told you, right?
He's not very good losers.
But, we saw something amazing. I mean, Mutaking beat Duck, then Mango, then Ice. Did you see the Ice set?
I commentated the Ice set.
Dude, didn't it remind you of 2007 Ken? Or 2005 Ken?
I think in the commentary at some point I said, please, Mutaking, let him win a neutral engagement. Because Ice straight up didn't really win neutral. Like almost the whole set, He'll get a hit here and there, maybe he won one exchange, but Mutaking had the boy on lockdown to an absurd degree. It was like one of the least close sets I've seen between two arguably top 10 players in a very long time. I actually can't think of can you think of, if you assume Ice is top 10, he's top 12, whatever, We're on
that ballpark. Anywhere, depending on what you think, 8 through 13.
Huh?
Depending on what you evaluate, 8 through 13 somewhere.
Sure. either way, top 13. Um, when's the last time you've seen a top 13 matchup between two top players ever look that absurdly lopsided?
Armada Plup.
Okay, that doesn't even count. That legitimately doesn't even count, right? And the other answer is Music King HBox and Paragon. Paragon Orlando.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad. But that was a little while ago, at least. Point is
Okay, so
is
can we talk about something? The one thing I really liked, because Music King's like neutral game is very polarizing. Like either he runs away and it's pretty blatant, or he goes so aggro that it doesn't make sense and he gets himself caught by like Armada's Peach in skirmishes, right?
Mhm.
Here he played the mid-range game, I think, better than I've ever seen him play the mid-range game. It wasn't just him fishing for grabs. It was him implementing mix-ups that made sense, and I felt like he was always a step ahead of what his opponent was thinking he was going to do. Agree, disagree, for the most part.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the scariest part about that set was that was actually very different than how Music King normally plays Fox Marth. I think it mostly takes a Marth player to really see that. Because, like, when Music King plays Fox Marth, a lot of time he's backdashing. A lot of times he's seeding stage, right? A lot of times every dash forward is met with a dash back, right? He actually didn't do that much this time. Like, he did dash and grab a lot, right? But the way he did it, right, was a little different, and there was some nuance there, and it was very scary because that's kind of how Mars should be played in many ways. Is to be mindful of your stage position and use the power of the sword. And trust me, Ice felt the power of the sword. That said, he could not get in.
Yeah. What was it? Even then, like, I felt like even Mango in the set, similar to Ice, it wasn't as bad. Like, it felt like Mango was kind of confused on what Music King was doing. Because Music King was throwing a lot more forward smashes and swinging a lot more. So, like, Mango was just like, okay, you're not just grabbing me. And I just felt like it was good enough to, like, because, like, with Music King, it's like he has, like, 4 mix-ups, and you can kind of figure out which of the 4 mix-ups. I felt like this event, he added, like, 4 new mix-ups.
Interesting, yeah. Mega Music was a very close set. It was super high. Overall, Music King's whole run was just super impressive. I think he, you just look at, what was it, like Mango, Ice, SFAT, Nun, Leffen, HBox, Armada. Like, that's just an absurdly hard run. Like, he got the hard part of the bracket, too. It's not just that he went to lose early, it's that he got the hard part of the bracket. Like, he got the part which has Ice, Leffen, SFAT, Mango,
Yeah.
So
he went through everybody.
Yeah. If he was put on the other side of the bracket, basically the Leffen map, he would have had such an easier. It would have been impressive, but far less, right? Like, so he got a really hard bracket and he made it out.
Yeah. So speaking, now that you bring this up, the other side of the bracket was, pretty interesting, and I've been, for the last couple of weeks, even before this event, I've been hyping up Professor Pro to you. What were your thoughts on him?
I think he made a very good and timely case for the last tournament of the ranking season. You really don't have a better time to do well than Professor Pro just did. And I think between that and DreamHack, I think people are going to rate him very high as a result, right? I think there's going to be some ballots that put him as high as like 22 to 25, like somewhere in that range. I don't know if that's accurate, but there will be ballots that do that,
Look at his resume, though, and look at his head-to-heads. It's been really solid this year.
He has a solid case for that range, Jack, I think before DreamHack and UGC, most people want to put him in the 25 to 30 range, right, or maybe even lower than that. But I think he has a solid case now. It was a very good run.
This is a thought experiment. You're gonna think it's ridiculous. Um, would you pick Lucky or Professor Pro going into if you were to like make a fantasy team for let's say 2017? Would you pick Professor Pro or Lucky?
I think Prof because Lucky's injured, but I think that's not a very fair comparison. I think that Lucky had a much better year.
Is it really that much better though?
Not that much better, actually, if you break it down. But he had a better year. He did. Early year was really important. Like, don't forget like Donald and stuff. But it wasn't by that much. Second half was a slip off. I think the the person who's probably of the top 20 who's going to slip the most from last year's ranking is probably MacD. Now that you saw how he performed like second half of the year. Where do you think MacD's going to end up being placed?
He still made top eights. I think the big thing here is that makes it tough is that we tend to overrate people that are on the come up based on potential, so we kind of forgive their mistakes. And with people that have already been established, we tend to forget their accomplishments. And regardless, MacD, not so good moments, but he still, did pretty well at Battle of the Five Gods. He's still made top 8 at Shine. Like, he's still done a lot of great things, to be honest.
Absolutely.
And I think people tend to forget that because the expectations weighed on him that he should be getting top 12 at every event. And when he does, nobody talks about it. They only talk about his worst things.
Do him as a top 15 player.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hugs was top 20. I forgot about that. Hugs is going to be the biggest drop off. But MacD, where do you think he's going to end up being ranked?
I think he's going to be. I think when I thought about it, I put him like in the range of like 27 to 33, somewhere around that ballpark.
I think that's correct. I think he'll be ranked around 30 this year.
Yeah. Wobbles has also kind of fallen off after Battle of the Five Gods.
Wobbles is like, if you want to look at anyone's ballot and realize like how much they value peak performance versus consistency, just look at wherever they put Wobbles.
Wobbles literally did not like do much after Battle of the Five Gods for like 9 months.
The only thing he actually did.
He lost to what? He lost to what? Milkman at Genesis, lost to Zealous 5000, lost to A Rookie. Like, hasn't had a good bracket run in forever.
Yeah. But we all know deep down that next year he's going to do something similar.
He's going to do his like one great performance, and then he lost to ESAM too.
Yeah. Let's be fair though. There was a time where I'm walking to just get a charger. There was a time where he was consistent. Like, I think it is incorrect to say he is incapable of being inconsistent.
His 2014 or was the 2015 year was pretty good considering he didn't enter much. Beat West Bowls, SFAT, like I forgot who else. He had the winning records and like Lucky too. Like, I think his 2015 was way more consistent. But it was not a good year. Are you there? You're filming with the CRT.
No. I got a charger. We're good now. Okay, you were saying is 2014, something like that.
Or 25th, the year that he went to all those like Texas regionals, like Low Tier City, and I don't know, whatever random thing that Lucky, SFAT, or West Bowls would go to.
Yeah. No, he was consistent in the past. I think it's incorrect to say he is now he is forever an inconsistent player.
Definitely, I'm not saying that. It's just that his 2016.
I'm not sure how much he's trying. I've said this for a while. I don't know how much he's trying. So
2016 is hard, man. His 2016 wasn't very good. I'll just say that much. I don't know how much he's trying. That's actually
my assumption, and this could be completely wrong, is that he's basically going to events, playing based on his skill. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
But like even like with wobbling, Wobbles like going to Evo, he had said like he had his mind prepared and he felt like really ready to go, and we didn't see anything from that. So I don't know. He'll let's put it this way. It's less and less surprising for me to see him lose to random players by like random players like the top 100 ish. I also would not be very surprised if he went on a really big run.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah. So, but the reason why I'm saying that he's inconsistent at this current point is that both those scenarios are believable.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other interesting things, None beating Muta King again.
Dude, that guy's amazing. And the lose set, I believe him when he said he effectively didn't try because that was very ugly. That doesn't mean that takes away from Muta King's win. It's just I could tell None was like content. He was super content by the time he hit losers. He's like, you know what, 5th place sounds pretty good.
I just want to drink or whatever he does. Dude, Armada versus None was like the most like frustrating set to watch.
Game 1, I totally thought he was going to win.
It was like, the Clippers under Vinny Del Negro?
Oh, yeah.
Like, like they're up by 10, and you're just like, how are they going to screw up this in the last 3 minutes? The Spurs are probably going to beat them. Felt like that. I felt like it was inevitable that he was going to lose.
Yeah, I don't know if that's any different than the Clippers now, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, man, he ended up losing. We actually were watching that set like while we were eating dinner. And we had like open our phones, and that's literally the commentary everyone made. It's funny how everyone felt that same way. It was like, yeah, he's doing well now, but he's not gonna win.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I never felt that way during the Gommel set or this set against Muta King. There's just something about Armada that you're just like, he's not gonna let it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the Spurs vibe out of the Armada, right? Like they're gonna do everything possible to find a way to win. That's what winners do.
Yeah, exactly. So, Nunn, really impressive performance. Once again, showing us that he can just win that matchup. Somewhere, Hack's money is crying because he was never really able to do it, and for the longest time he said it was impossible. So, Nunn showing us that no, it's totally possible. And now Muta King is kind of having trouble with Nunn. I think it could become a consistent thing, or a consistent like 50-50 or 60-40. But that's still scary percentages.
Well, I mean, Nunn, to be fair, got bought many times before between this and Gommel.
Right. So whatever. There's some percentage where Nunn wins, and and
it's not low. It's not like 10%.
Yeah, it's a higher percentage than Muta King likes. That's for sure.
You know what's crazy? Speaking of like finding ways to win, did you think Armada was going to come back from 2 down against Hungrybox?
No, absolutely not. And I think that crushed Hungrybox, honestly.
Like, because Hungrybox was mad into it, right? He was saying, like, you know what? Like, if I win this will give me a chance to be number 1 this year. And so he, in his head, believed that this mattered a lot to him. Similar to Evo, right?
Oh, it totally mattered a lot to him. After he lost that winners finals, he was super dejected. He had a 2-0 lead. He lost 3 in a row. Couldn't believe it. And in his mind, if he won, he was number 1. And he knew also if he lost, the nail was in the coffin. I think he actually tweeted that out. It was a super sad tweet. He tweeted out like
the Photoshop. I remember that.
Did he copy that from Melee Hell or something? Like, how did he do that while he was at the tournament?
Definitely some Melee Hell shenanigans.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be like the Elias Sports Bureau.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to hit you with stat? So the last time that Hungrybox was up 2-0, or the last time that Armada was able to come back from 2 down against Hungrybox, guess which went?
What?
Sandstorm.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah. Armada had to win on Dreamland twice.
I understand the frustration from Hungrybox's side.
He had it. He had it in his hands. If he won that, Armada would have to come back, and then Armada would have to win 2 sets.
And I wonder if, from his perspective, he knows that not winning through winners would have also made his case a lot worse. Like, even if he won that event, but he won through losers after going 1-2 with Armada, many people would have still put Armada first, right?
Yeah.
He needed Armada to get third or second, and him to win through winners really badly, right? So
It's almost like Armada was saying, this is karma for Evo.
So HBox blew it. He had a chance to be number one in the world. He may never get that chance again in his career. We'll see. But he did not take it. He will regret this for a while.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like Armada felt like he got retribution for losing Evo. And to be fair, it was a pretty nice chunk of change he won for winning this event. I don't remember what the prize. I mean, you got like a 15K bonus for singles, and Armada gets like 40% of that plus the prize pot.
Not bad.
Probably like a good 8,000, give or take.
It's because we were all crowded around watching Capcom Cup. That was the same weekend, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my god, this event's worth so much money, blah 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 blah, right? I feel like the conversation was tilting like during that conversation, like, and people weren't really understanding how much, how yes, our earnings are dispersed, but our players aren't doing as bad as people seem to think, right? Like, I think the all of Street Fighter V has been 730K. I just looked it up overall, right? And Melee was. I'm sure Melee was more than that this year, right? Let me look it up. Point is, what was Melee this year? Maybe it wasn't actually. That was close.
At the very least, I think between like Music King and up, like they've at least made 40K this year in tournament winnings, which isn't bad.
Why? Is there a year-by-year thing?
Are you looking at like esports earnings?
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. I found what esports earnings put as a number, which isn't our final number. It says 554K this year, right? And Street Fighter was like close to 700 some odd K, right?
Yeah.
So we're a little bit behind based on what they put in, right? Now, I guarantee you, once you add our locals or smaller events, we probably equal to them. Now they have locals too, but not nearly as many, right?
They have local events too, so I'm not sure how much of a delta.
Yeah, if we don't catch up, I don't think we catch up. We might, but not. I don't know if we catch up. Point is though, is like during that conversation, and I was talking with like Phil, Brandon, whatever. I was like, guys, we're actually close. We're not like that's not that far. That's a 200K difference. That's nothing, right? So keep that in the back of your mind, guys. It's not great, obviously, compared to the Dotas of the world, but they got a freaking Capcom sponsored circuit, and we're somehow close. Why are we close? How are we close? The fact that we're still up there is kind of insane. Despite the fact that we have like no sponsors and no anything. It's just through attendance.
I mean, isn't it pretty much Capcom Cup running off the grassroots model? So it's just that plus maybe they add like 250K or whatever the DLC stuff into the final prize pot. So we're not too different in business models.
We're not super different. I mean, that Capcom Cup had like 360K on it. So that's like half of their prize pool for the year just on one tournament. Which, by the way, I don't know is healthy. That's a lot of money.
I mean, once you kind of reach a certain level of doing stuff, you don't really have to attend much until the finals, unless you want extra practice, right?
So I'm looking at this esports stats for 2016. We are okay. I just found it. Okay, we are the 12th according to esports earning. Now it doesn't have all the tournaments. We are the 12th most highest paid game in 2016. Games like Gears of War, World of Tanks, World of Warcraft, or Mortal Kombat are all lower than us. Mortal Kombat surprises me because I know they do a bunch of stuff. If you combine the Smash games, we're higher than Street Fighter. If you combine the Smash games, we're around 800K and they're 730.
Yeah, we're not bad.
Wii U is a lot less than Melee in terms of how lucrative it is. Wii U is 245K and Melee has 554K.
Why is that though? Because like from my understanding, like don't they get more entrants for most events?
They get a lot of entrants. I think it's like some of the events that have pop bonuses are all Melee events.
But like I don't see how that makes a $270,000 difference. Like I can't actually recall there being that much more for Melee.
There's also the factor of, I think the Melee people have updated more on esports earning. There's 431 tournaments for Melee here and only 117 for Wii U.
Yeah, so I just don't think it's documented. I think it would probably be 400K.
Probably, I agree. I think it's they're less probably, but not by this much. So my guess is that they're close to 400K as well. So in that sense, maybe we outpace more games. You know, maybe. I mean, Overwatch, they're dumping lots of money in. It's only at 1.6 mil, right? Like you add up both of our games, and we're probably at like 1 mil. We're not that far, right? Now, obviously, when you compare it to Dota, who has 32 mil for last year, we're nothing. But don't do that. That's not fair. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not trying to say our prize pools are great. They're not, but they're not nearly as bad as people seem to think they are.
What were we at like 2 years ago? Can you look at while you're on that page?
Yes, I can. Let's see where we were at 2014. 2014, we were at 140K. So 2014 was 140K. 2015, and this is just Melee, was 476. And 2016, so far, and it's not over, is 554. So growth every year, and significant growth. Right?
And you know, 4 of those players made over 40 grand.
What'd you say?
Four of those players in Melee have made over 40 grand just off of tournament prize winnings. And in this case, it's not like they have to expense like they're traveling and you have to subtract from that because they have teams that pay for their flights, so it's not bad. It's not great either, but as a baseline it's getting better.
Sustainability is getting better. I think that's kind of the point I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, because like you look at that 2 years ago, let's say Mewtwo King, right? He enters every event, probably netted, he was still on Empire Arcadia, so probably wasn't making much money there. Probably made 10, 12K. I mean, if we're being nice.
2013, it has us at 50K, 51K.
But like in 2014, let's like take Mewtwo King. He's probably won 10 to 12K in earnings. Probably had to pay for his flights and hotels. He probably didn't make much, if at all, that year.
Well, according to this, Mewtwo King made 19K that year.
Okay, not that much.
Yeah.
And plus, he probably had to pay for.
Again, Melee, most of your earnings are actually done at like smaller local events. So a lot of this is undocumented. I think you made far more than 19K, even in 2014, right? Mewtwo was going to like 3-4 events a week back then, right?
No, I mean for like 3 to 4 months, he was in SoCal, not attending anything.
Oh, actually, that's true. So maybe it's probably like the point is if it says 19K, I actually read that as like 30, 35, probably, right? You agree with that?
Yeah, but he also had to pay his own flights and travel and hotel that year.
Right, and that's changed now. And I think it's the biggest change this year is that most players are signed now.
Yeah. So like you take
our
30,
whole top 25 is signed.
So you take 30K and you probably have to take 6 to 10K out of that, which is a lot.
So let's put it this way: we have a far, and there's not okay. So if you just look at the 2016 numbers, and again, like I said, it doesn't include everything. In fact, it does include most things. Unless there is only 431 tournaments listed on here. Trust me, there are probably tens of thousands of Smash Brothers tournaments a year, right? So we know this doesn't cover everything. But the point is that of the stuff it covers, Crush still made 5.5K last year, right? What other game can you be of Crush's level and make any money at all, right? You can't. Similarly, like Kel's made $2,124 on this alone. Like, and again, this is not going to cover everything that those guys won in locals, right? Those guys in locals probably made way more than that, right? Because they're winning like $300, $400, $500 in local money. It's more of our long tail that's super impressive to me, and the fact that, of course, on top of that, we do have Armada, who made 81K this year. Hungry Box made 80K this year, right? Plus, there's Travel's not sponsored, and it used to be. Plus, they have salary from their team agreement. Plus, if they're streaming, right? Like, just it's not there yet, and it's improving though. It's strong. It's improving. We're nowhere near the other esports, but I don't pity us anymore. That's all. You know?
Yeah.
I definitely don't pity us anymore.
I agree. Let's see. So looking at this bracket, I mean, the other surprises you kind of see, we already talked about Professor Pro, who, you know, based on when I played him at Shine, I played him for like a good hour. I was like, man, I can't hit this guy's shield. And Swedish Delight, after losing, was just like, yeah, like I can't hit his shield. And he was really strong, beat Shroomed and beat Swedish. So there's a highlight there. Phil beat Koble.
Yeah, Phil. D fills me.
The commentator, the personality.
I definitely feels it.
I definitely feels it. It's definitely, and he lost to Absent Page earlier, who I believe is also like a Fox Chic main. So Fox Ditto's kind of, in my view, puts a low point to Koble though, because it's like what's the baseline of Fox that can now beat Koble in Fox Ditto's? No offense to Phil.
He did go Marth too, apparently one of the games.
Ooh.
Speed in both characters. Phil beat both Kobol's Marth and his Fox.
But like, you know, I love Phil's Fox, great neutral game, but Phil's not the type of Fox that will kill you off of one opening like an Ice or a Leffen or an SFAT. Phil, he will win many neutral games, but he won't kill you off of one. So it's kind of a startling thing for a person of Koble's caliber.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very bad loss for Koble.
But who knows? Let's see. Anything else that stood out in the bracket? This Kid Boogie losing 4%. We mentioned that. Ice got the run back on Shroomed finally. Close 5-game set. Mike Hayes beat Mango.
You watched that set?
Dreamland. I did.
Yeah.
Congrats to Mike. That power shield by the end was like pretty sick.
Pretty good.
What else is there? SRG I thought played pretty well, and then he ran into a brick wall in Swedish. Swedish we don't talk about enough, and I think we need to give him the shout out. Top 8. Although, you know, if you only came in for to watch Top 8, probably didn't get the best impression of Swedish, but Swedish 3-0'd Axe, and, you know, just to keep in mind, Axe, like, has been bodying Shroom lately, and he 3-0'd a hot S2J.
By the way, Abu took a Swedish to Game 5. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Abu has those performances.
So
he's also looking for a team.
But it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kevin Toy, after Smash Summon, many of us thought that he'd learned a lot about the Falcon matchup, maybe got a lot better at it. Turns out he lost to None and SJ. He got 3-0 against SJ, and did he take a game against None? I don't remember.
So can I tell you a funny story about this? I'm pretty salty right now.
Why?
So after Summit, which was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I did a full video. I can actually send this to you privately, of Pew Pew's adjustments to the Falcon matchup after Summit. Now, how silly would it look if that video went up by Yahoo Esports, given this weekend happening?
Is it never going to go up?
I'm going to add an addendum to it. So the way I'm going to spin it is I'm going to say, like, I think Pew Pew's game plan's a lot better, but it's not to say that Falcons... It's not to say he's going to win every time. Like, the Falcon players are still strong, but it's nice to see that he's finally making some tactical adjustments.
Here's my opinion. I think he's a much better at the Falcon matchup now. He's not good enough yet, though. It's basically what it is. That he has gotten much better. Chicago matchup.
But
And your points will most likely be correct, but it's not translating to wins quite yet.
my man Blur, no one will care about that. They're just gonna look and say, "Lol, SUJ 3-0'd him."
Well, there you have it. That's
So
the way of the
I'm
world.
still gonna put it up because I think the talking points are still good, for what it's worth.
Sure. What else happened this tournament? Leffen did all right.
Leffen disappointed by Leffen standards, though.
Yeah, but I mean, he's if a fourth place for Leffen, I feel like that's a par, right? He hit par, and
But
that's okay. Like, can you really be like, sure, he didn't get a birdie, but he got par.
he got par. But Leffen's not satisfied with that. What if he went to EGLX and said, "Well, you know what? Like, I haven't played in a while. 9th place or 13th place or whatever he got was good enough." Or 7th place. I don't know what he got.
That's fine. That's a competitive mentality. But I'm saying, for us as analysts and as fans, I don't view it as like a bad tournament.
Yeah.
You know, I do think he's capable of better. I think he can win tournaments, obviously, because he has. But in terms of his route for a comeback and looking forward to 2017, not too bad. He got 3-0'd by Michi King. And he took a game off Hungry Box, but overall it looked pretty Hungry Box's favor.
Did you see Leffen destroy SFAT?
Pretty badly. I don't understand it. What's going on?
I don't know, man. SFAT like literally looked like level 9 Fox in many of those moments.
SFAT Michi King was super close. That was a tight one.
Bizarre. I mean, is this like a random upset of the tournament? Shinobi beat Armada in a game.
That like reminds me of the Smash God beating Armada in a game,
Or Captain Crunch.
Like those are just like, is Armada like at a point where he's not taking dudes seriously until they take a game and then he like actually turns on the jet? And I feel like he might actually be at a point where he is autopiloting that hard.
To be fair, I think I watched the video of him versus Shinobi, and Shinobi played pretty well.
I'm sure he did, but do you think that would like? How was the next game? How was the game after Armada lost?
So, I mean, but the Armada loss came in a later game of the set. It wasn't a game 1 for that one.
Right. But I'm saying, game 3. How was that?
I mean, I think most of the games were pretty competitive.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, Shinobi has pretty good tech skill, and he like lands a lot of damage off Shine, so I think that kind of maybe spooked Armada a little bit. And Shinobi played really patient too. So, who knows? Maybe the Foxes know something, or maybe the base level of generic Fox is improving so much that Armada's autopilot can't win every time. So,
Dark Blade Overlord 99. Great name, says, maybe SFAT didn't stroke himself off during a 30-minute plus interview with legendary commentator the Crimson Blur. Thank you very much. He could have warmed up and beat a Michi King. That's a great point. But maybe it went to game 5 because he was pumping himself up so much.
it was so funny because that last kill was so tragic. He just goes to legend, dies on Michi King's invulnerability.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So,
by the way, that whole interview was triggering me, just the mic situation and all that. But forgetting that, like, it bothers me that people don't realize by now that, like, whenever. By the way, we're gonna start doing doubles interviews, doubles winners interviews from now on. So get used to it.
yeah.
We should have been doing that this whole time. There's no reason we haven't. It's absurd we haven't been doing it.
I always wondered why we didn't do it. I mean, I understand if we go straight doubles into singles top 8, if the schedule's running late, then yeah. But I feel like we should design a schedule that compensates.
That gives someone an interview for winning the fucking tournament. But in general, I feel like stream viewers need to at least get educated enough to know that like things don't happen faster because of a segment existing. Like during that interview, like Chad was just like, start singles, I want to watch top 8, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, we can't start top 8. You top 8 still finishing on the stage. Like, we're doing this interview to fill time. Like, cool your jets.
Yeah, cool your jets, man.
Cool your jets, man. Is
Other
that
than
how?
that, I can't. I mean, I can't really say much more about melee at UGC. I mean, Axe, to no one's surprise, won low tier without dropping a game.
Yeah. Can't believe Nuns Ganon looked that free.
None scanning.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't Android and an Android lost to Reeve, so congrats to Reeve for the upset. But then you somehow and he beat Iori, or no, he did not beat Iori. Reeve, how do you beat Android and lose to Liberate?
Who's Liberate?
Exactly.
You hit him with the exactly.
So that's it for melee singles for or melee in general. Unless you have anything to add before we move topics.
No, I think sounds good.
All right, let me